Remain exactly where you are, without adjusting your body or checking whether you are comfortable enough, because comfort is already being formed in this stillness. Before there was movement, before there was structure, before there was time measured by sequence, there was quiet. The story of creation does not begin with noise or urgency. It begins with darkness, with depth, with a formless calm that holds everything without definition. Tonight, Genesis is not a story to analyze or understand. It is a night story, meant to be heard slowly, the way ancient words were once spoken under open skies, when listening blended naturally into sleep. In the beginning, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. This is not chaos in the sense of danger, it is openness. It is space before shape, stillness before movement, rest before distinction. The night understands this state instinctively. Darkness does not threaten creation. It prepares. Italiano. It allows everything to exist without pressure, without expectation, without the need to become something else immediately. The Spirit of God moved over the waters, not violently, not abruptly, but gently, hovering, present, without disturbance. There is no sense of hurry in this movement. It is calm and deliberate, the kind of motion that does not wake what is resting. Creation begins not with force, but with presence. And presence, when it is gentle, feels like safety. As you listen, the rhythm of Genesis begins to align naturally with the rhythm of the night. Words unfold slowly. Sentences carry weight without tension. There is a sense that nothing needs to be rushed, because nothing is late. Time itself has not yet taken shape. There is no before or after in the way the mind usually understands it. There is only unfolding, then light appears, not as a flash, not as disruption, but as separation. A soft distinction between what is seen and what remains hidden. Light does not erase darkness. It exists alongside it. Evening comes, and then morning, the first day. Even in the act of creation, rest is already woven into the pattern. Evening comes first. The night opens the day. Rest precedes work. Genesis does not describe creation as exhausting. There is no strain, no effort, no resistance. Each act is spoken into being, and what comes forth is simply called good. There is no evaluation beyond that. No comparison, no demand for improvement. Goodness is complete as it is. This kind of goodness allows rest. As the days unfold, waters are separated, skies open, land emerges slowly from beneath the surface. Everything takes its place without conflict. Boundaries are formed, not to restrict, but to create harmony. The night mirrors this process. Thoughts separate from awareness. Sensations settle into place. The mind no longer needs to hold everything at once. Vegetation appears quietly, each according to its kind, rooted, steady, growing without haste. There is no sense of striving. Growth happens because conditions are right, not because it is forced. This is night wisdom. Rest creates the environment where life unfolds naturally. The sun and the moon are placed to mark times and seasons. But the Vinaya, there is no urgency. They are not rulers in the sense of control. They are markers, Hentley guides, the greater light for the day, the lesser light for the night. The night is given its own dignity, its own purpose. Darkness is not absence. It is design. As the story continues, the waters fill with life, the skies with movement. Each creature formed without struggle. There is abundance without excess, variety without noise. Creation unfolds calmly, layer by layer, as if the world itself is being laid down carefully, not assembled under pressure. Listening to Genesis this way, as a night story, allows the body to respond naturally. Breathing deepens, muscles soften, the mind stops anticipating what comes next, because the rhythm is steady and predictable. Nothing jumps forward. Nothing pulls attention sharply. Finally, humanity is formed. Not hurried, not accidental, but intentional and gentle. Breath is shared. Life begins in relationship, not isolation. Even here, there is no rush. Humanity is placed into the world, not thrown into it. There is space. There is belonging. And then comes the pause, the seventh day. Rest. Not because creation was tired, but because completion does not require constant activity. Rest is not a reward. It is part of the design. The world is allowed to simply be. Tonight, Genesis invites you into that same pattern. Darkness before light. Stillness before motion. Rest before effort. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where the story begins. The night has opened. Creation is unfolding slowly, and rest is already woven into everything that exists. Block 2 WHEN, the first day continues and order settles gently into the night. Remain exactly where you are, without adjusting your body or measuring how deeply you are resting. Because the story of the first day of creation does not ask the listener to follow it actively. It unfolds at a pace that does not require attention. Only presence, and even presence is optional. Genesis continues not as a sequence of events to track, but as a calm ordering that mirrors what is already happening inside the body as the night deepens and effort fades. Light has been spoken into being, yet darkness has not been pushed away. They exist together, each named, each given its own place, and this naming does not carry tension. It does not judge one as better than the other. It simply acknowledges distinction without conflict. This is important for the night, because the night itself is not something to overcome. It is something to inhabit. Darkness here is not absence. It is rest made visible. As the first day continues, there is no description of struggle. Nothing resists coming into place. Nothing needs correction. Creation responds immediately and completely to gentle intention. And this absence of resistance teaches the body something fundamental. That order does not require force. Things can settle naturally when pressure is removed. This realization alone allows the nervous system to soften further, because it no longer feels responsible for holding everything together. Genesis names evening first, and then morning, establishing a rhythm that runs counter to urgency. Rest opens the cycle. Stillness precedes activity. The night prepares the day, not the other way around. As this rhythm repeats quietly in the background, the body begins to align with it. Muscles that were holding subtle tension loosen without instruction. Breathing slows, not because it is guided, but because the environment feels safe enough to allow it. The first day does not introduce complexity. It introduces clarity. Light is separated from darkness, not mixed, not confused. This separation is gentle and complete, and it mirrors what happens internally as the mind releases its grip. Thoughts separate from awareness. Sensations separate from meaning. The mind no longer needs to interpret everything it notices. Some things remain visible. Others fade into the background. Both states are allowed. There is also no sense of measurement yet. Time has not become something to manage. There is no clock, no pressure, no schedule. There is only the simple acknowledgement of evening and morning, a cycle that feels natural and This lack of measurement allows the listener to stop counting internally, to stop tracking progress, to stop checking whether rest is deep enough or long enough. Nothing needs to be evaluated. As the first day rests within itself, the story does not pause dramatically. It simply continues. There is no signal that something important has ended or that something urgent is about to begin. This continuity is what allows the body to remain settled. Sudden transitions stimulate alertness. Gentle continuation supports sleep. Genesis understands this intuitively. Listening to creation unfold this way, as a night story rather than a lesson, allows the inner world to reorganize itself quietly. the mind begins to mirror the structure being described, not consciously, but naturally. Order without strain, distinction without conflict, rhythm without pressure. These qualities sink into the body and replace the patterns of haste learned during the day. The night itself becomes part of the story. Darkness outside reinforces darkness within, not as emptiness, but as spaciousness. The listener does not need to imagine anything vividly. The words do not ask for visualization. They create an atmosphere instead, one where nothing jumps forward to demand attention. The first day of creation does not announce its completion. It simply exists, complete as it is, before the next movement begins. This completeness does not feel final. It feels stable, and stability allows the body to remain at rest without anticipation. As this part of the story continues to unfold, there is no need to stay awake to follow it. The rhythm remains consistent. The tone remains calm. The night holds everything in place, and the first day settles gently into that holding, leaving no reason for the mind to stay alert. As the first day continues to exist within the night, there is no sense of movement forward, only the feeling of something that has settled into its place and no longer needs attention. Creation does not rush to the next moment. It rests within what has already been spoken. Light remains where it belongs. Darkness remains where it belongs. Neither presses against the other. This quiet balance becomes the atmosphere itself, and the body recognizes it instinctively as a condition where nothing must be adjusted or defended. The calm of this first day is not passive. It is stable. Stability has weight, and that weight allows everything else to relax around it. The body feels this as support rather than pressure, as if the ground beneath awareness has become firm enough that vigilance is no longer necessary. Muscles remain released, not because they are consciously relaxed, but because there is no signal telling them to prepare for anything else. The rhythm of evening and morning continues to echo softly in the background, not as a sequence to follow, but as reassurance that time can move without effort. Evening arrives without announcement. Morning follows without urgency. There is no demand to witness either one. This rhythm allows the internal sense of time to loosen, making it unnecessary to track how long the body has been resting or how long rest will continue. Within this settled state, the separation of light and darkness becomes less about vision and more about awareness itself. Some sensations remain present. Others fade completely. Some thoughts appear briefly. Others never surface at all. Nothing is wrong with either condition. The first day teaches that distinction does not require tension. The mind does not need to hold everything at once in order for order to exist. The absence of struggle in creation continues to communicate something essential to the nervous system. There is no friction in the forming of the world. Nothing resists coming into place. Nothing must be corrected after it appears. This absence of resistance allows the body to release deeper layers of holding, layers that were not accessible earlier because the mind still believed it needed to remain alert. As awareness softens further, the story of the first day no longer feels like a story. It feels like an environment. The words no longer point outward toward images. They settle inward, becoming part of the same quiet field as breath, stillness, and darkness. Listening becomes indistinguishable from resting. Attention drifts without consequence. The first day does not complete itself with emphasis or declaration. It simply remains good as it is. This goodness does not require recognition. It does not need to be affirmed. It exists without commentary. The body responds to this by letting go of the habit of evaluation. Nothing needs to be judged as deep enough, calm enough, or complete enough. The night continues to hold this day gently, without asking it to move on. The sense of continuity remains unbroken. There is no anticipation of the next act of creation. There is only the quiet presence of what already exists. This lack of anticipation removes the final reason for the mind to stay awake. Breathing continues without variation. The chest rises and falls with minimal effort. The space behind the eyes remains soft and undefined. The jaw stays loose. The body has accepted that nothing will interrupt this state. The first day has become a stable background rather than an event. As this part of the story settles even deeper, awareness itself becomes optional. Moments of attention appear and fade without pulling the body back toward wakefulness. The first day remains unchanged, regardless of whether it is noticed. This constancy reinforces trust, and trust allows rest to continue without interruption. There is no boundary here between story and stillness. They have merged. The first day of creation exists not as something happening in the distance, but as a quiet order present within the night itself. This order does not move forward. It does not conclude. It simply supports everything that follows by remaining exactly as it is. The night holds this foundation steadily. The first day remains settled, and rest continues without needing to be guided. BLOCK 3. When the second day opens space, and the sky settles without effort, remain exactly where you are, without checking whether you are following the story or drifting away. Because the second day of creation does not ask to be followed closely. It unfolds as a widening rather than an action, as an opening rather than a movement forward. Genesis describes this day as the forming of space itself, the gentle separation of waters, the quiet creation of an expanse where breath can move freely. This is not a dramatic event. It is a subtle adjustment that allows everything else to breathe, and the night understands this kind of change instinctively. The sky is formed not by force, not by pressure, but by distinction. Waters above and waters below find their places without resistance. Nothing struggles to remain where it does not belong. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Space appears naturally, as if it was always waiting to be noticed. Listening to this at night, the body begins to recognize the same process happening within. The chest feels less constrained. Breathing finds more room. The subtle sense of tightness that often lingers around the ribs and shoulders begins to dissolve without instruction. The second day is about openness rather than completion. There is no declaration of goodness here, no emphasis on outcome. The focus is on allowing space to exist. This teaches the nervous system that not every moment needs resolution. Some moments are meant only to create room. At night, this lesson is deeply comforting. The mind does not need to arrive anywhere. It only needs enough space to stop pressing against itself. As the expanse settles, the sky becomes a place of quiet continuity rather than activity. It does not demand attention. It does not change rapidly. It simply remains. This remaining creates a sense of shelter rather than exposure. The sky does not threaten what lies beneath it. It covers gently, allowing what is below to rest without being compressed. The body mirrors this by releasing subtle holding patterns, especially those connected to vigilance and anticipation. The separation of waters also reflects an internal softening. Thoughts that once felt heavy sink away from awareness. Sensations that need attention rise briefly and then fade. The mind no longer feels flooded by everything at once. There is structure without rigidity. Order without pressure. This is the quiet intelligence of the second day, an intelligence that does not organize by control, but by allowing things to settle where they naturally belong. The night reinforces this process by removing visual demand. In the dark, space feels larger. The absence of sharp edges allows the sense of expansion to continue inwardly. The listener does not need to imagine the sky vividly. The story does not require visualization. It creates atmosphere instead, a feeling of openness that spreads gently through awareness and into the body. As this openness stabilizes, the sense of breathing becomes more diffuse. Inhale and exhale lose their boundaries. Air moves in and out without needing to be noticed. The body no longer listens to the breath. It trusts it. This trust deepens rest, because the nervous system no longer needs to monitor something that feels up. The second day does not rush toward the next act of creation. It rests within its own purpose. Space has been made, and that is enough. This lack of urgency removes the last subtle pressure to stay awake. The mind does not anticipate what comes next. It settles into the comfort of what already exists. Listening to Genesis as a night story allows this day to become less about events and more about conditions. Conditions where rest is possible. Conditions where nothing presses inward. Conditions where awareness can widen and then soften without effort. The second day is not busy. It is spacious, and spaciousness invites sleep naturally. As this part of the story continues, the words become less distinct. Meaning blurs gently. What remains is tone, rhythm, and the feeling of openness that does not need to be filled. The sky remains. The waters remain. Space holds everything quietly. The night accepts this space completely. The second day settles without effort, and rest continues to deepen within the openness that has been created. As the second day continues without urgency, the space that has been formed does not collapse back into itself. It remains open, wide, and unforced, holding everything gently without requiring attention. The sky that was separated from the waters does not move. It does not shift. It does not announce itself. It simply stays. And this staying becomes the dominant quality of the night. The body recognizes this kind of space as permission to stop contracting, to stop holding itself inward, to stop preparing for impact. Within this openness, the internal sense of pressure begins to dissolve further. The chest no longer feels like a container that must be protected. The breath does not need to be deep or shallow to be correct. It simply continues. The ribs soften. The shoulders remain dropped without effort. The body no longer reacts to the idea of space. It accepts Italiano. This acceptance is what allows rest to deepen without instruction. The separation of waters above and below becomes less symbolic and more experiential. Heavy thoughts settle downward and lose relevance. Light impressions float briefly and fade. Nothing remains suspended in a way that demands resolution. The mind no longer feels crowded. It does not need to organize or filter. Space has done the work that effort could not. The second day carries no declaration of completion, and this absence is important. There is nothing to evaluate, nothing to label as finished or unfinished. The nervous system responds to this by standing down completely. When there is no outcome to anticipate, vigilance loses its function. The body rests more deeply when it is not waiting for a signal that something else must happen. The sky itself becomes a kind of covering rather than an exposure. It does not open things up in a way that feels vulnerable. It opens them in a way that feels sheltered. This paradox is felt internally as well. The more space there is inside, the safer everything feels. Tightness dissolves, boundaries soften. Awareness spreads and then thins without effort. As the night continues, even the sense of openness becomes neutral. It no longer feels like expansion. It feels like baseline. The body no longer notices space, because space has become the default condition. This is where the second day completes its work, not the ending. But by becoming invisible, what was created no longer draws attention to itself. Breathing remains steady and unremarkable. The pauses between breaths stretch naturally, not because the body is trying to slow down, but because nothing is stimulating it to speed up. Heartbeat remains calm and regular. Sensation has flattened into something uniform and uninteresting in the best possible way. Nothing asks to be noticed. The mind, if it appears at all, does so without structure. There is no storyline, no reflection, no internal commentary. Any impressions that surface dissolve immediately back into the same spacious field from which they emerged. The second day has removed the internal compression that gives thoughts weight. Time continues to lose definition. There is no sense of duration passing. The night does not feel long or short. It feels still. Proverbs and Genesis align here quietly, both pointing toward patience without expectation, waiting without direction. The second day exists in this waiting, and so does the body. As this state stabilizes, the words of the story no longer feel like something being heard. They merge into the same tonal field as the silence around them. Sound and quiet blend together without contrast. There is no need to listen. There is no need to stop listening. Everything continues evenly. The second day does not prepare for the third. It does not lean forward. It simply remains as a condition where space exists and nothing presses inward. This lack of anticipation is what allows sleep to continue uninterrupted. There is no edge to catch awareness, no shift to monitor. The night holds this openness steadily. The sky remains without movement, and rest continues quietly within the space that has been made. BLOCK4. When the land emerges slowly and solid ground settles beneath rest. Remain exactly where you are, without shifting your body or trying to follow the story too closely. Because the third day of creation does not arrive with movement that demands attention. It emerges slowly, patiently, as if nothing new is happening at all. Genesis describes the land appearing from beneath the waters, not through force or disruption, but through a quiet revealing. A gentle uncovering that allows solid ground to take its place without resistance. This is not an event that interrupts the night. It deepens. Italiano. As the waters gather and the dry land becomes visible, there is no struggle between elements. The waters do not cling. The land does not push. Each finds its place naturally, and this natural settling mirrors what the body begins to feel at this depth of rest. There is a sense of being held by something stable beneath awareness, something firm enough that no internal effort is needed to remain at ease. The body responds instinctively to this sense of ground by releasing deeper layers of tension that were still present without being noticed. The appearance of land introduces a new quality to the night. Solidity. Not heaviness, not pressure, but reliability. Solid ground does not move. It does not require vigilance. It simply remains. As this quality enters the story, the nervous system recognizes it as safety. The subtle background alertness that often remains even during sleep begins to dissolve further because there is nothing left to prepare for. The ground beneath experience feels steady enough to support complete disengagement. Genesis names the land and the seas, giving each its own identity without conflict. This naming does not divide. It clarifies. Clarity without sharpness allows the mind to stop holding multiple things at once. Some sensations remain present, others fade. Some thoughts dissolve completely. Nothing needs to be held together artificially. The third day brings structure that does not constrain, and the body relaxes further within that structure. Then vegetation begins to appear, quietly and without emphasis. Plants do not rush upward. They emerge according to their kind, rooted, steady, growing without awareness of growth. This growth does not require observation to continue. It does not accelerate when watched. It does not stop when unseen. It unfolds because conditions are right. This is a powerful message for the night. Rest does not need supervision. Sleep does not need to be managed. When the environment is safe, growth and restoration happen on their own. The imagery of roots settling into the ground resonates deeply with the body at this stage. There is a subtle sense of grounding that spreads through the lower body, a feeling of weight distributing evenly, of gravity no longer needing to be resisted. The legs feel heavier. The hips feel supported. The body sinks slightly into the surface beneath it, not collapsing, but settling. This settling is not something to notice actively. It happens quietly, the way land emerges quietly from beneath still waters. The third day does not bring complexity, it brings stability. Land, seas, plants, simple elements, clearly placed, existing without competition. This simplicity removes cognitive load. The mind does not need to interpret symbols or anticipate outcomes. The story becomes an environment rather than a sequence. Listening turns into resting without a clear boundary between the two. As the night continues, the idea of ground becomes internal. There's a sense that nothing could pull awareness upward suddenly. Nothing feels precarious. The body does not need to brace. Breathing continues naturally, slow uneven without depth or rhythm needing to be adjusted. The chest rises and falls with minimal effort. The jaw remains loose. The muscles of the face soften further. The third day does not conclude with emphasis. It simply remains good. Goodness here is not evaluated, it is inherent. This lack of evaluation allows the final remnants of mental checking to fade. The listener does not need to assess whether the ground is solid enough. Eat all readies, trust replaces monitoring, and trust deepens rest. As this part of the story continues to unfold, words begin to lose their edges. Meaning becomes less important than tone. The sense of solid ground remains, even as awareness drifts in and out. The land does not disappear when not observed. It remains. This constancy reinforces the body's willingness to let go completely. The night holds this solidity gently. The ground beneath experience feels reliable and unmoving, and rest continues, supported by something that does not shift. As the third day continues without urgency, the ground that has emerged does not ask to be noticed. It remains steady beneath everything, supporting without pressure, holding without effort. The waters no longer cover it, and yet there is no sense of exposure. The land exists calmly in its place, and this calm existence becomes the dominant atmosphere of the night. The body recognizes this immediately, responding not with thought, but with release, allowing deeper layers of holding to dissolve quietly. The presence of solid ground introduces a subtle certainty that nothing will suddenly shift. There is no instability to guard against. The muscles no longer maintain background tension in preparation for movement. The body does not brace, it simply rests. Weight distributes evenly, not sinking too deeply, not floating, but settling into a position that feels inevitable rather than chosen. The surface beneath the body becomes indistinct from the idea of support itself. Vegetation continues to exist without drawing attention. Roots remain hidden, doing their work silently. Growth continues without observation. This hidden activity reinforces a sense that processes do not require awareness to function properly. The body does not need supervision to restore itself. The mind does not need to remain alert to ensure safety. Everything essential is already happening beneath the surface. As awareness softens further, the idea of ground becomes less conceptual and more experiential. It is felt as stability in the lower body, as heaviness that does not burden, as the absence of upward pull. The nervous system interprets this as permission to disengage completely. The subtle alertness that sometimes lingers even during sleep fades away because there is nothing left to monitor. The third day does not press forward toward complexity. It remains simple, elemental, and complete. Land stays land. Water stays water. Plants stay rooted. This lack of transformation removes the need for anticipation. The mind no longer waits for change. It accepts continuity as sufficient. This acceptance allows rest to deepen further without any conscious effort. Breathing continues quietly, with no sense of rhythm being followed. The chest rises and falls naturally, almost imperceptibly. The pauses between breaths lengthen slightly, not because the body is slowing down deliberately, but because nothing is stimulating it to remain active. Heartbeat remains steady and unremarkable. Sensation becomes uniform, smooth, and uninteresting in the most restful way. The words of the story now function less as narrative and more as texture. They blend into the same quiet field as silence, darkness, and stillness. Meaning dissolves gently. What remains is tone and presence. Listening becomes indistinguishable from sleeping. Awareness drifts without consequence. The ground does not disappear when it is not noticed. It remains exactly as it is, unchanged by attention or its absence. This constancy reinforces trust at the deepest level. The body no longer prepares for interruption. The mind no longer monitors continuity. Everything rests upon something that does not shift. time loses its remaining edges here. There is no sense of duration passing. The night does not feel like it is moving forward. It feels settled. Proverbs and Genesis meet quietly at this point, both pointing toward patience without expectation and rest without effort. The third day exists in this state, and so does the body. As this stability continues, even the sensation of being supported fades into neutrality. Support is no longer something that needs to be felt. It has become the background condition. The listener does not need to remain present to maintain it. Rest continues without awareness. The third day does not conclude. It simply remains good, stable, and sufficient. There is no signal to move on, and no need to prepare for what comes next. The night holds this state gently, without boundary or interruption. The ground remains beneath everything. Stability holds without effort, and rest continues, supported by what does not move. Block 5. When the lights appear in the sky and time becomes gentle rather than demanding, remain exactly where you are, without adjusting your body or attempting to follow the story closely, because the fourth day of creation does not introduce brightness that wakes the mind. It introduces light that organizes without disturbing, light that marks rhythm rather than calling for attention. Genesis describes the sun, the moon, and the stars appearing in the expanse of the sky, not as sources of urgency, but as quiet markers of time, gentle signals that allow the world to move without confusion. This light does not compete with the night, it belongs to it. The greater light is set for the day, the lesser light for the night, and this distinction carries no hierarchy of value. The night is not treated as secondary. It is given its own light, its own measure, its own dignity. The moon does not rush. It does not blaze. It reflects softly, offering just enough presence to guide without overwhelming. The body responds to this kind of light instinctively, relaxing further because nothing sharp or sudden is being introduced. The stars are placed quietly, countless and steady, not flickering for attention, not demanding to be counted. They exist simply as points of consistency in the vastness of the sky. This consistency translates internally as reassurance. The mind no longer feels the need to track time precisely. Hours do not feel urgent. The night does not feel like something that must be used or managed. It is simply present, unfolding at its own pace. The fourth day teaches that time does not have to be a source of pressure. It can be a gentle structure instead, something that moves forward without pushing. Evening and morning continue, but now they are supported by lights that make the rhythm predictable and safe. Predictability calms the nervous system. When nothing unexpected is coming, the body releases its remaining alertness. As this idea settles, the internal sense of time begins to soften. The listener no longer wonders how long they have been resting or how much of the night remains. The mind stops counting. There is no internal clock ticking loudly. Time becomes background, like the slow movement of the moon across the sky, noticeable only if one looks directly, otherwise fading into stillness. The presence of the lights in the sky also removes the need for constant awareness. Day and night can alternate without supervision. Seasons can unfold without intervention. This teaches the body that processes continue even when awareness fades. Sleep does not interrupt life, it supports Italiano. Restoration happens without being watched. The fourth day does not add complexity, it adds orientation without demand. The sun rises and sets without being urged. The moon waxes and wanes without being hurried. The stars remain fixed without effort. This effortless order reinforces the sense that the world is stable enough to allow deep rest. As the night continues, the idea of light becomes internal and diffuse. It is no longer something to imagine visually. It becomes a sense of gentle clarity without sharpness, a feeling that nothing is hidden that needs to be uncovered now. The mind does not need to illuminate anything further. Darkness is sufficient. Breathing continues evenly, slow and unremarkable. The body does not react to the concept of light by becoming alert. Instead, It recognizes this light as something that belongs to rest, something that marks time quietly while the body sleeps. The chest remains soft. The jaw stays relaxed. The muscles of the face remain loose. The fourth day does not conclude with emphasis. It simply establishes rhythm and remains within it. The lights do not flash. They remain. This remaining removes the last subtle sense of urgency associated with time passing. There is no pressure to fall asleep quickly. There is no pressure to stay asleep. The night will continue whether it is noticed or not. As this part of the story unfolds, the words themselves begin to blend into the same steady rhythm they describe. Meaning becomes secondary. Tone and cadence carry the experience forward. The listener does not need to visualize the sky. The body already understands the message. Time is Hentley and nothing is late. The night holds this rhythm softly. The lights remain steady without calling attention, and rest continues, supported by time that moves without demand. As the fourth day continues to exist within the night, the lights placed in the sky no longer feel like objects or sources of illumination. They become quiet indicators of continuity, gentle presences that move without asking to be followed. The sun does not rush toward morning. The moon does not signal that the night must end. The stars do not announce anything at all. They simply remain where they are, steady and predictable. And this predictability communicates safety at a level deeper than thought. With this sense of safety, the body releases its final attachment to measuring time. There is no longer an internal question about how long rest has lasted or how long it should last. The nervous system no longer listens for the approach of dawn. It no longer prepares for transition. Time has softened into something neutral, something that flows quietly in the background without requiring response. This allows the body to sink further into stillness without concern. The gentle cycle of evening and morning continues invisibly, but it no longer defines experience. The listener does not feel suspended between them. There is no anticipation of light returning or darkness deepening. Both are already present and balanced. This balance is felt internally as a smooth, even state where nothing presses forward and nothing pulls back. The fourth day teaches that rhythm does not require awareness to function. Days can pass, nights can pass, seasons can unfold without being watched. The body absorbs this lesson deeply. It no longer feels responsible for staying alert to maintain order. Order exists independently. Sleep becomes something that can continue uninterrupted without supervision. As awareness softens further, the concept of light becomes almost abstract. It is no longer visual. It is sensed as clarity without sharpness, as reassurance without instruction. There is no need to understand where the light is or what it is doing. Its presence is enough. Darkness, too, becomes complete rather than empty. Together, they form a stable field that does not fluctuate. Breathing continues quietly and evenly, without pattern needing to be followed. The chest remains relaxed, the belly rises and falls gently. The pauses between breaths stretch naturally, not because the body is slowing intentionally, but because nothing stimulates it to remain active. Heartbeat remains steady and unobtrusive. Sensation smooths out further, losing distinct edges. The words of the story now function almost entirely as background. They do not pull images forward. They do not invite interpretation. They move at the same gentle pace as the lights they describe, predictable and calm. Listening becomes optional. Rest continues whether the words are noticed or not. Time at this depth is no longer something it is something that holds. The night does not feel like a segment between days. It feels complete in itself. This completeness removes the final mental pressure that can keep awareness lightly engaged. There is no reason to remain awake when nothing needs to be tracked. The fourth day does not conclude with emphasis or declaration. It simply remains part of the ongoing order, quiet and sufficient. The lights stay in place. The rhythm continues. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing signals change. This lack of signal allows sleep to remain deep and unbroken. As this part of the story continues, even the idea of rhythm begins to fade into neutrality. Rhythm becomes the baseline rather than something noticed. The body no longer senses movement through time. It rests within time without awareness of it. The night holds this gentle order steadily. Time moves without demand, and rest continues, supported by rhythm that does not need attention. Block 6, WHEN. Life fills the waters, and the sky and movement remains calm. Remain exactly as you are, without trying to picture anything clearly or follow the story step by step. Because the fifth day of creation does not ask for imagination or effort. It unfolds quietly, as life begins to appear in the waters and in the sky, not with noise or urgency, but with gentle abundance. Genesis describes creatures moving through the seas and birds crossing the open expanse. Yet nothing about this movement disturbs the stillness of the night. It is movement without agitation, activity without pressure, life unfolding without demand. The waters begin to fill with living beings, each according to its kind, swimming, drifting, existing within the depth that already holds them. There is no sense of crowding, no sense of competition. The waters are spacious enough to receive everything that enters them. This spaciousness is felt internally as well. Thoughts no longer feel packed together. Sensations do not overlap in a way that requires sorting. Everything has room to exist without conflict. Above the waters, the sky also fills with life. Birds move through the open space that was formed earlier, crossing it gently, without haste, without direction that must be tracked. Their movement does not create urgency. It creates continuity. The body responds to this kind of movement by remaining relaxed. Motion does not signal danger here. It signals stability. Life can move without waking what is resting. The fifth day introduces abundance, but not excess. There is no overwhelm in this multiplication of life. Everything appears gradually, naturally, in balance with the space that holds it. This balance communicates something essential to the nervous system. More does not always mean louder, faster, or heavier. More can be quiet. More can be gentle. More can be restful. Genesis speaks of blessing on this day, but the blessing does not come as excitement. It comes as permission. Permission to fill. Permission to continue. Permission to exist fully without strain. The body receives this permission instinctively. Muscles remain loose. Breathing remains unforced. The mind does not react to the idea of life increasing. It trusts that there is enough space to hold it. As awareness softens, the distinction between stillness and movement becomes less important. The waters move, yet the night remains still. The birds cross the sky, yet rest deepens. This teaches the body that movement does not require alertness when the environment is safe. Not every motion is a signal. Not every change demands response. The imagery of water becomes particularly soothing at this depth. Water does not resist. It yields and carries. It supports without gripping. Internally, this is felt as a release of subtle holding around the chest and abdomen. Breathing flows more freely. The body stops bracing against sensation. It allows experience to pass through without interruption. The fifth day does not ask the listener to notice each creature or imagine variety. The story does not dwell on detail. It creates atmosphere instead, an impression of life unfolding smoothly within boundaries that have already been established. This lack of detail prevents the mind from engaging too actively. Attention drifts naturally, without needing to be pulled away. As the night continues, the sense of abundance becomes neutral rather than stimulating. Life simply exists. It does not announce itself. The body does not react. Awareness fades further into the background, allowing sleep to deepen uninterrupted. The fifth day does not conclude with drama. It rests within its own fullness. Life continues quietly in water and sky, and the night holds this movement without disturbance. Nothing accelerates. Nothing signals transition. Everything remains balanced and calm. The waters remain full without stirring the surface. The sky remains alive without urgency, and rest continues, undisturbed by gentle movement. As the fifth day continues to rest within itself, the movement that has filled the waters and the sky no longer feels like something happening. It feels like a condition that has always been there. Creatures move without direction that needs to be followed, and their movement does not break the calm of the night. The waters remain calm even as life flows through them, and the sky remains open even as it is crossed again and again. Nothing about this activity introduces urgency, and nothing invites observation. It simply continues, steady and unremarkable. The body responds to this kind of movement by remaining at ease. There is no instinct to follow motion with attention. There is no reflex to become alert. Movement here does not signal change. It signals continuity. This understanding settles deeply into the nervous system, allowing even the faintest traces of vigilance to dissolve. Muscles remain released without effort. The body no longer prepares for interruption. The abundance of life does not accumulate into noise. It does not crowd the senses. It spreads evenly, filling space without pressure. Internally, this is felt as spaciousness that remains intact, even as sensations come and go. Nothing piles up. Nothing needs to be sorted. The mind no longer feels the need to keep track of anything. Awareness drifts freely, sometimes present, sometimes fading, without consequence. The waters themselves become a symbol of support rather than depth. They carry what moves within them effortlessly. They yield without collapse. They allow movement without resistance. This quality of yielding spreads inwardly, especially through the chest and abdomen. Breathing becomes smoother and more fluid, almost imperceptible. The body no longer holds against sensation. It allows experience to pass through gently, like currents moving beneath a still surface. Above, the sky remains open and unchanged. Birds move through it, yet the sky itself does not respond. It does not tighten or react. It remains exactly as it is. This teaches the body something subtle but powerful. Not everything that passes through needs to be responded to. Thoughts can move through awareness the same way, appearing briefly and dissolving without engagement. There is no need to follow or resist them. The blessing spoken over life on the fifth day continues quietly, not as words to be noticed, but as permission embedded into the environment. Permission for life to continue without supervision. Permission for rest to deepen without fear of losing control. The body absorbs this permission fully. It no longer feels responsible for maintaining wakefulness. It trusts the environment enough to remain disengaged. As awareness softens further, even the idea of life moving becomes abstract. Movement is no longer perceived as motion. It becomes background texture, like a gentle current that does not ripple the surface. The body no longer distinguishes between stillness and movement. Both are accepted equally. This equality removes the final trigger that could pull awareness back toward alertness. Time continues to lose relevance. The fifth day does not feel like a day unfolding. It feels like a stable condition where life exists without urgency. There is no anticipation of the next stage of creation. The story does not lean forward. It remains balanced in the present, allowing the body to remain balanced as well. The words of the story now blend almost completely into silence. They do not arrive as narrative. They arrive as tone, as consistency, as something that does not change. Listening is no longer an activity. It is simply part of the same quiet field as rest. Awareness fades and returns briefly without assembling into wakefulness. The fifth day does not conclude. It simply remains full and calm. Life continues in water and sky without drawing attention, and the night holds this continuity gently. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing signals change. The body remains settled, supported by movement that does not disturb and abundance that does not overwhelm. The waters continue to hold life quietly. The sky remains open without response, and rest continues, steady and uninterrupted, as everything moves without asking to be noticed. Block 7 WHEN, life emerges on the land and presence settles without pressure. Remain exactly as you are, without adjusting your body or trying to remain attentive, because the sixth day of creation does not require focus or imagination. It unfolds slowly and quietly, as life begins to appear upon the land that has already settled into stability. Genesis describes animals emerging according to their kinds, moving across the ground without urgency, without competition, without noise that disrupts the calm of the night. This movement does not awaken the body, it reassures it. The land receives life without resistance. Nothing needs to be forced into place. Creatures walk, rest, exist, all within the boundaries that were formed earlier. There is no struggle for space. There is no pressure to move quickly. Everything unfolds within an environment that already feels secure. The body responds to this sense of grounded life by sinking further into stillness, as if the ground beneath experience has become even more reliable. The sixth day introduces variety, but not complexity. Each living being appears according to its kind, not competing, not overlapping, simply existing. This Oda does not require management. It does not need to be watched. The mind relaxes further because there is nothing to sort, nothing to compare, nothing to control. Order exists independently of attention. As animals move across the land, their movement feels slower, heavier, more grounded than what came before. This heaviness is not weight that burdens. It is weight that anchors. Internally, this is felt as a deeper settling in the lower body, a sense that the hips and legs are fully supported, that gravity no longer needs to be resisted. The body rests more deeply when it feels anchored, and this anchoring happens naturally here. Genesis speaks of humanity being formed on this day as well, but not in a way that demands reflection or analysis at night. Humanity appears gently, deliberately, without haste. Breath is given quietly. Presence is established without urgency. There is no sense of being thrown into existence. There is placement. There is belonging. The body receives this idea as reassurance rather than stimulation. Existence does not require vigilance. The sixth day carries the sense of completeness beginning to form, but not in a way that signals ending. It is fullness without finality. Everything needed for life is present, and nothing needs to be added immediately. This completeness allows the nervous system to stand down completely. There is no need to stay alert when nothing is lacking. As awareness softens further, the distinction between life and rest becomes less sharp. Life continues on the land, yet rest deepens. Movement does not disturb stillness. The body no longer treats activity as a reason to wake. It recognizes that life can continue safely while awareness fades. The presence of life on land also reinforces the sense of shelter. The environment feels inhabited, not empty. Emptiness can sometimes feel exposed. Inhabited space feels safe. This safety spreads through the body, loosening any remaining subtle tension around the chest, neck, and jaw. Breathing remains slow and unforced. The sixth day does not ask the listener to imagine details or scenes. The story does not dwell on form or appearance. It creates atmosphere instead, an impression of grounded presence that does not change quickly. This lack of detail allows the mind to disengage without effort. Attention drifts naturally. As the night continues, even the idea of creation happening fades. What remains is the feeling of a world that exists calmly, fully formed enough to allow rest. The body mirrors this by allowing itself to be fully at rest, without monitoring or anticipation. The sixth day does not conclude with emphasis. It rests within itself. Life exists quietly on land, and the night holds this existence gently. Nothing accelerates. Nothing signals transition. Everything remains balanced and calm. The land holds life without strain. Presence settles without pressure, and rest continues, grounded and uninterrupted. As the sixth day continues without urgency, the presence of life on the land no longer feels like something newly formed. It feels established, settled, and quietly sufficient. The animals that move across the ground do so without haste, without direction that needs to be followed, and without energy that would call attention to itself. Their existence does not disturb the stillness that has been building throughout the night. Instead, it reinforces it, reminding the body that life can be active without requiring awareness, and that rest does not interrupt anything essential. The land itself feels more complete now, not because something dramatic has happened, but because nothing feels missing. There is a sense of fullness that does not demand celebration or recognition. This fullness communicates safety at a deep level, allowing the nervous system to release its final habits of monitoring and preparation. Muscles remain relaxed without effort, and posture no longer feels like something that must be maintained. The body rests as if it has been gently placed where it belongs. Human presence, introduced quietly within this day, does not arrive as a concept to be examined. It arrives as belonging. Breath is shared without announcement. Awareness exists without pressure. There is no expectation placed upon existence itself. This absence of expectation is profoundly calming. The body responds by letting go of the need to be ready for anything else, because nothing is being asked of it now. As the 6th day settles, the distinction between observer and environment softens further. The listener no longer feels separate from the world being described. The story is no longer something happening elsewhere. It has become an internal atmosphere, a sense that everything necessary already exists and is functioning quietly without supervision. This allows attention to drift even more freely, appearing and fading without consequence. The sense of groundedness deepens at this stage. Weight feels evenly distributed. Gravity no longer feels like something to resist or adjust to. The lower body feels stable and supported, and this stability spreads upward, softening the chest, the shoulders, and the neck. Breathing continues at its own pace, unforced and unremarkable, blending seamlessly into the stillness of the night. There is no anticipation of what comes next. The 6th day does not lean forward into the future. It does not prepare for change. It remains present, complete enough to allow rest to deepen without interruption. This lack of anticipation removes the final mental habit that can keep awareness lightly engaged. When nothing is expected, there is no reason to stay awake. The words of the story now function almost entirely beneath consciousness. They do not invite images. They do not encourage reflection. They move slowly and evenly, matching the steady condition that has been established. Listening is no longer an activity. It is simply part of the same quiet field as rest, breath, and darkness. As this state continues, the idea of day itself becomes abstract. The 6th day no longer feels like a segment of time. It feels like a stable condition where life exists calmly and nothing needs to change. The body mirrors this by remaining still without effort, allowing sleep to deepen naturally. The land remains steady. Life remains present. Awareness becomes optional. The night holds everything without interruption, and the 6th day settles fully into that holding, leaving no reason for the mind or body to remain alert. Blockade WHEN creation stops moving forward, and rest becomes the center. As the 7th day arrives, nothing new is added, and nothing is taken away, because this day is not about formation or movement, but about remaining. Genesis does not describe activity here. It describes cessation, not as interruption, but as completion that no longer requires effort. The work of creation rests, not because it is exhausted, but because nothing needs to be done for wholeness to exist. This kind of rest is not collapse. It is stability fully realized, and the night receives it naturally. The 7th day does not announce itself with contrast. There is no shift in tone, no change in rhythm, no signal that something important has begun. Everything simply stays as it is. This staying is what allows the deepest layers of the body to disengage. When nothing is moving forward, there is no reason to prepare. When nothing is expected, vigilance dissolves completely. The nervous system recognizes this state instinctively and settles into its most economical rhythm. Rest on the seventh day is not passive. It is active in its own quiet way, maintaining what has already been established without interference. The world does not unravel when activity stops. It remains ordered. This teaches the body that stillness does not threaten stability. In fact, stillness preserves it. Muscles remain released without effort. Breath continues without guidance. Heartbeat remains steady without awareness. The idea of blessing appears here, but it is not loud or celebratory. The day itself is set apart quietly, marked not by action but by the absence of action. This absence carries weight. It communicates permission at the deepest level. Permission to stop. Permission to remain. Permission to exist without purpose needing to be fulfilled. The body responds to this permission by letting go of the final need to monitor itself. As awareness softens further, the distinction between rest and existence begins to dissolve. Rest is no longer something that happens to the body. It is something the body is resting within. There is no sense of entering rest. There is only the realization that rest has been present all along. This realization does not require thought. It settles beneath awareness and remains. The seventh day also releases the mind from the habit of progression. There is no next step implied here, no anticipation of what comes after. The story does not lean forward. It remains centered. This lack of forward motion removes the last subtle tension that can keep the mind lightly awake. When nothing is moving towards something else, attention no longer needs to follow. The night aligns perfectly with this day. Darkness does not feel transitional. It feels complete. The body no longer senses time passing in a way that matters. There is no internal clock checking for change. Time becomes background, indistinct and irrelevant. The seventh day does not measure itself. It simply exists. Breathing continues quietly, shallow and slow in the most natural way. The chest does not expand fully or collapse. It moves just enough. The jaw remains loose. The face softens further. The body feels held not by effort, but by the absence of demand. There is nothing to respond to and nothing to resist. The words of the story now function almost entirely as presence rather than meaning. They do not explain rest. They embody Italiano. Listening is no longer necessary. Awareness drifts freely, sometimes present, sometimes fading, without assembling into thought. The seventh day remains unchanged, regardless of whether it is noticed. As this state continues, the idea of completion no longer feels like an ending. It feels like continuity without motion. The seventh day does not close the story. It opens a space where nothing else needs to happen. This space supports the deepest kind of sleep, the kind where even the sense of sleeping disappears. As this day continues, the idea of completion no longer feels like an ending or a conclusion that signals change. It feels like continuity without motion, a condition where everything that exists is allowed to remain exactly as it is without adjustment or effort. The world does not move forward, and it does not need to. Creation rests without collapsing, without fading, without losing coherence. The night holds this rest gently, not as something fragile, but as something stable and self-sustaining, allowing everything to remain in its place without awareness needing to return or intervene. As the seventh day continues without movement, rest no longer feels like something that has begun or something that must be maintained. It becomes the natural condition in which everything exists. There is no effort required to remain here, because effort belongs to motion, and motion has already ceased. The world remains stable without supervision, and this stability is felt internally as a deep assurance that nothing will suddenly change. The body no longer listens for signals. It no longer prepares. It simply remains supported by a condition that does not fluctuate. The absence of activity on this day does not create emptiness. It creates fullness without pressure. Everything that has been formed continues quietly, without needing to be adjusted. The land remains firm. The waters remain calm. The sky remains open, and life remains present without drawing attention. This completeness allows the nervous system to release the final layers of alertness that can linger even in deep sleep. When nothing is expected, there is nothing to guard against. Breathing continues in a way that feels almost imperceptible, not because it is slowed intentionally, but because nothing stimulates it to become pronounced. The chest rises and falls gently, evenly, without rhythm needing to be followed. Heartbeat remains steady and unobtrusive. Sensation smooths out further, losing distinct edges and becoming a uniform background that does not invite awareness to return. Time loses its remaining structure here. The seventh day is not experienced as a day within a sequence. It is experienced as a state without direction. There is no sense of duration passing, no awareness of before or after. The night does not feel like it is moving toward morning. It feels complete in itself. This completeness removes the last subtle attachment to progression that can keep the mind lightly engaged. The words of the story now function entirely beneath consciousness. They do not arrive as meaning or instruction. They exist as steady presence, consistent and predictable, blending seamlessly with silence. Listening no longer feels like an activity. Awareness drifts freely, sometimes present, sometimes absent, without consequence. The seventh day remains unchanged regardless of whether it is noticed. At this depth, even the idea of resting fades into neutrality. Rest is no longer contrasted with activity. It is simply the condition that exists. The body does not recognize itself as resting. It recognizes only the absence of disturbance. Muscles remain released. Posture remains irrelevant. The surface beneath the body is no longer perceived as separate. Support has become background. There is no vigilance left anywhere in the system. No part of the body is monitoring safety. No part of the mind is tracking continuity. Nothing prepares for interruption, because interruption is no longer a reference point. The seventh day holds everything together without effort, and the night aligns perfectly with this holding. As this state continues, awareness may flicker briefly and then fade again without assembling into thought or orientation. Nothing resets. Nothing restarts. The body does not reorient. The mind does not re-engage. The environment remains unchanged, stable enough to absorb these flickers without disruption. The seventh day does not signal completion in a way that closes the story. It remains open-ended, not moving forward and not ending. Existing is a continuous field where nothing needs to happen next. This open-endedness supports the deepest form of sleep, where even the sense of sleeping dissolves and only continuity remains. The night holds this rest steadily, without edge or boundary, allowing everything to remain exactly where it belongs, sustained by stillness that does not require awareness, attention, or effort to continue. Block 9 WHEN. Nothing needs to begin again, and continuity becomes the only experience after the seventh day has settled fully into stillness. Nothing resumes and nothing advances, because there is no need for creation to continue proving itself through motion. What has been formed remains intact, sustained without effort, existing within a condition that no longer depends on awareness or action. This period after creation is not described as empty or inactive. It is described through silence, through the absence of instruction, through the simple fact that everything continues to be exactly what it is. The night understands this state naturally and mirrors it within the body. In this continuity, the body no longer senses transition. There is no inner signal announcing a shift from one state to another. Muscles remain released without needing to be reminded. The breath continues quietly, shallow and slow in a way that feels automatic rather than controlled. The chest does not expand fully, and it does not need to. The body has found a rhythm that requires no participation. This rhythm sustains itself the same way the created world sustains itself now, without supervision. The mind is stepped almost entirely out of relevance. There is no narrative being followed, and no story unfolding that requires tracking. If impressions appear, they do not assemble into thought. They dissolve before they can take shape. Awareness no longer evaluates whether rest is deep enough or whether sleep has fully arrived. Those questions belong to earlier stages. Here, there is only continuation without reference. Time has flattened into something neutral and unmeasured. The idea of night moving toward morning has lost its meaning. There is no anticipation of light returning and no concern about darkness remaining. Both are already present in balance. The absence of anticipation removes the final tension that can keep awareness lightly engaged. When nothing is expected, nothing needs to be watched. The words of the story now function entirely as background presence. They do not guide. They do not explain. They simply remain consistent, even, and predictable, reinforcing the sense that nothing will suddenly change. Predictability at this depth becomes safety. Safety allows the body to remain disengaged completely, without any instinct to return to alertness. The sense of self continues to soften. There is no clear boundary between observer and environment. The experience no longer centers around someone resting. It centers around rest itself. Identity does not disappear, but it becomes irrelevant. The body is resting. The mind is quiet. That is, nothing needs to be defined further. The stillness of this post-creation state does not feel heavy or oppressive. It feels open and stable at the same time. Stability without pressure. Openness without exposure. The body responds by remaining settled in a way that feels effortless and sustainable. There is no sense that this state must be maintained. It simply continues. Sound blends into silence without contrast. Words lose their edges and their meanings, soften until they are indistinguishable from quiet. Listening is no longer something that happens. It is merged with resting. Awareness drifts in and out without consequence, never assembling into wakefulness, never needing to be redirected. The world remains exactly as it was left on the seventh day, complete enough to require nothing further. This completeness is not an ending. It is a condition that holds. The night aligns with this holding perfectly, allowing sleep to remain deep, continuous, and uninterrupted. As this state continues, there is no sense of depth increasing or decreasing. Depth itself has become irrelevant. There is only the absence of disturbance, the presence of continuity, and the quiet assurance that nothing needs to happen next. The body accepts this completely, and acceptance allows rest to sustain itself without effort. The night holds this continuity gently, without edge or boundary, allowing everything to remain exactly where it belongs, while awareness fades and sleep continues on its own. As this state of continuity settles even further, there is no internal reference point left that could be described as change, because change implies direction, and direction has dissolved completely. What remains is not stillness contrasted with movement, but a steady condition where everything that exists continues without effort. The world does not advance, and it does not return to anything. It simply remains held within the same quiet order established when creation rested. The night mirrors this order perfectly, allowing the body to remain disengaged without fear of interruption. The body now rests without sensing itself as a body that is resting. Muscles remain loose without any signal telling them to maintain that looseness. The breath continues without rhythm needing to be followed or noticed. The chest rises and falls, gently, evenly, as if breathing were happening somewhere beyond awareness. Heartbeat remains present, but indistinct, no longer serving as a signal that needs to be interpreted. Sensation has flattened into something neutral and uniform, without edges that might draw attention back toward wake. The mind has no structure to assemble anymore. There is no internal dialogue forming and no awareness evaluating experience. If impressions arise, they are so light and incomplete that they dissolve immediately back into the same quiet field from which they came. There is no awareness of losing thought, because thought is no longer something being held. Awareness itself has become optional, appearing briefly and fading again without consequence. Time no longer exists as a concept that could organize experience. There is no sense of duration passing, No internal clock measuring night or waiting for morning. The absence of time removes the final condition for anticipation. When nothing is approaching, there is nothing to prepare for. The nervous system remains fully settled, maintaining the same state without fluctuation. Sound, including the sound of words, has become texture rather than information. It blends seamlessly into silence, forming a continuous background that does not rise or fall. There is no distinction between listening and not listening. Everything exists within the same quiet layer, predictable and unchanging. This predictability reinforces safety at the deepest level, allowing rest to continue uninterrupted. The sense of self has softened to the point of there is no clear boundary between inner and outer, between observer and environment. Experience is no longer centered around identity. It exists on its own, steady and neutral. The body does not need to know where it is. The mind does not need to know what is happening. The absence of this need allows sleep to deepen without resistance. There is no vigilance left anywhere in the system. No part of the body scans for disturbance. No part of the mind monitors continuity. Nothing prepares for change. The night holds everything without effort, and the order established at the end of creation remains intact, unchallenged, and unexamined. At this depth, even the idea of depth dissolves. There is no comparison to earlier stages, and no awareness of having gone further. The experience does not move toward anything else. It does not conclude. It simply remains as a stable condition where nothing needs to happen and nothing ever interrupts. Awareness may flicker briefly and then fade again without assembling into orientation or thought. Nothing resets, nothing restarts. The body does not adjust. The mind does not re-engage. The environment remains unchanged, steady enough to absorb these flickers without disturbance. The world continues exactly as it is, complete and sufficient, not because it has been finished, but because it no longer requires movement to sustain itself. The night aligns with this condition fully, allowing rest to remain deep, continuous, and undisturbed. As this state holds, there is no edge, no boundary, no signal of transition. Continuity remains the only experience, and sleep continues on its own, supported by a condition that does not change and does not need to be noticed. Block 10. When rest continues without memory and the night holds everything steady, at this depth, there is no longer any sense of progression, reflection, or arrival, because those experiences belong to awareness, and awareness has gently stepped aside. What remains is a stable condition where everything continues without effort, without direction, and without the need to be noticed. The world that was formed now exists quietly within itself, sustained not by action or intention, but by the simple fact that nothing is required to keep it whole. The night mirrors this perfectly, becoming a wide, steady presence that does not change and does not ask anything of the body or the mind. The body now rests without recognizing itself as resting. Muscles remain released without instruction. Posture has lost all relevance. There is no sense of lying down, no awareness of position, no need to adjust. The surface beneath the body is no longer perceived as support, because support has become the background condition rather than a sensation. Breathing continues quietly and efficiently, shallow and slow in the most natural way, blending so completely with the stillness around it that it no longer feels separate from it. Heartbeat remains steady and unobtrusive, no longer serving as a signal that needs interpretation. The mind has no role left to perform. There is no inner narration, no monitoring, no evaluation of depth or quality. Thought, if it appears at all, has no continuity and no weight. It dissolves before it can form. There is no awareness of losing thought, because thought is no longer something that is being held. Awareness itself has become intermittent and optional, appearing briefly and then fading again without assembling into orientation or concern. Time has completely disappeared as a reference. There is no sense of night moving forward or waiting for morning. There is no duration being measured, no sequence being tracked. The experience exists without before or after, without anticipation, and without memory. This absence of time removes the final condition that could support alertness. When nothing is approaching, there is nothing to prepare for, and the nervous system remains fully disengaged. Sound exists only as uniform presence. Words no longer arrive as language or meaning. They blend seamlessly into silence, forming a consistent tonal field that does not rise, fall, or vary. There is no distinction between listening and not listening. Everything exists within the same quiet layer, predictable and unchanged. This sameness reinforces safety at the deepest level, allowing rest to remain uninterrupted without effort. The sense of self has softened beyond relevance. There is no clear boundary between inner and outer, between body and environment. Experience is no longer centered around someone sleeping. It exists on its own, steady and neutral. Identity does not disappear, but it no longer matters. There is nothing to locate, nothing to define, nothing to protect. The body rests. The mind is quiet. That is sufficient. There is no vigilance anywhere in the system. No part of the body scans for disturbance. No part of the mind monitors continuity. Nothing prepares for interruption. The condition established at the end of creation remains intact, unchallenged and unexamined. The night holds everything without effort, and everything remains exactly where it is. At this depth, even the idea of depth has dissolved. There is no comparison to earlier states, and no awareness of having gone further. The experience does not move toward conclusion or resolution. It simply remains, stable and unmarked, allowing sleep to sustain itself naturally and continuously. Awareness may flicker briefly and then fade again without consequence. Nothing resets. The body does not reorient. The mind does not re-engage. The environment remains unchanged, steady enough to absorb these flickers without disturbance. Rest continues beneath them, unaffected and complete. There is no edge to this state, no boundary that signals an ending, and no transition waiting to happen. Continuity is all that remains, quiet and sufficient, holding the body and mind in a condition where nothing needs to be done and nothing needs to be remembered. The night continues to hold everything steady in this way, without beginning and without end, allowing sleep to remain deep, uninterrupted, and self-sustaining. Long after awareness has faded and long after words have lost all meaning,